old man Saf.
Hey everyone, this is Neela.
Heyo, it's your boy Funke, the coolest teen rapper online.
What's up? It's me, Alfie. You're listening to The Cool Table with
You're
Adrian.
listening to the Cool
And
Table.
you're listening to The Cool Table.
You're listening to The Cool Table.
And I'm not sure if you know this, but right now, you're in the cut with my man, Adriel Smiley.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We're here on The Cool Table in the cut with Dillan Ponders.
What is going on?
I think you said Strawberry Cheesecake is your choice of ice cream.
Strawberry Cheesecake is a choice. It actually tastes extraordinarily good, to be honest. Like, it's a bit of an issue how good this is. Typically, I would be a little opposed to eating ice cream. I don't know if it's not nighttime, but for you guys, I got you.
No, for sure. I appreciate that.
No worries.
I'm excited for the talk because I feel like this album feels like it has more hype than a lot of your past projects.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
have projects basically every year.
Yeah.
So I guess tell me about like the start of recording this project. Like,
Well-
what was the first songs and kind of what was the first idea for the project?
Well, that's actually a pretty good question. Because I'm always in a constant state of creation. Like, I create every day. I try and make a couple of songs a day. So there was like a folder full of just a bunch of music that I've been sitting on. My last release was Nowhere. But while we were making Nowhere, which was an EP, we had this album in mind because we knew we had received the Factor grant for it. So we knew we had a bit of a bag to work with, which as an independent creator, knowing I have a bit of money to work with, it's like, oh, cool, I can actualize some of these ideas finally. So literally, I think the week I released Nowhere was when I recorded King of the Town. That was the first song that I recorded essentially accidentally for the album. I was just in a mood, I was in a vibe, and I just kind of let it rip. And then I went on a beautiful shroom trip, and I was on a walk home, and I was having just a bit of a realization, like everything that we're doing, whether it be calling your family, this Zoom meeting right now, going to hang out with a girl, or simply creating is only possible because we're alive. Like all of it's only possible because we're here in the flesh right now, floating in space together, like it's only possible. So once I realized that was going to be like the mantra or the idea for the album, I started creating with that in mind. And the second song I made was Jungle. Went to Losha's house, knowing that I wanted to kind of do something. I won't say like outside of what I usually do, but it kind of is in a sense. I wanted to kind of challenge myself.
For sure.
So that's more the beginning process. I'm all over the place as a creator. So there's not like a day that I realized I was going to make this album. It was kind of been happening all my life. And I finally figured out exactly what I've been doing leading up to this point, You know
what's crazy? You said that King of the Town was the first like song you recorded that was for the album.
Yeah.
And King of the Town to me is like there's so much like stuff outside of King of the Town, the album that don't fit that mold, but King of the Town is really like a big dog song.
Yeah.
But I think like is it really kind of a direction for the album? There's a part on King of the Town where you said, thinking back to my parents' divorce, they were preparing me for it.
Yeah.
I'm like that, like that's such a big line right there. And also you go into a little bit more, but talk about that part, like the parents preparing you for it.
I got you. That's a really good question, man. I can tell you really listen to the music, which makes me happy.
For sure.
When it comes to like music, I always try and spin like traumatizing experiences into something empowering. Like whether it be like my buddy Jermaine, who was wrongfully shot when I was back in grade 9. I said that bar just before the parents' divorce. And after I spoke about my buddy Jermaine, I'm like, what other trauma have I not talked about on a song? And not to say like, I love my parents. They're both beautiful human beings. But at the age I was when they split, it was like, my whole world ended. Like, these are my two superheroes. Like, I was too young to process that they're just humans and they're falling out of love. I was just like, but why are you doing this to me type shit? And, through some spiritual revelation and, spiritual growth, I realized that like, I love you both no matter what. Like, it's fine. And I wanted to put that in a song. Like, I know we're coming from a generation with parents. Most of our parents aren't still together. And for the people whose parents are still together, that's fucking beautiful. But I knew it would be something a lot of my homies could relate to first and foremost. And even outside of that bubble, just people in general.
And you saying like it prepared you is like, that's a good thing to kind of realize after the fact, because I always say this, like the biggest part of growing up
Mm.
is like when you and your pops realize that y'all are on the same playing field. Like
Yeah.
when usually your dad or your mom doesn't want to kind of think of you on the same playing field no matter what age you get to.
Yep.
As you grow up, they're like, you still a kid though. Like I get it, you think you're popping, but you know, you're still my son, you're still my daughter. So it's like that kind of it subconsciously prepares you. You don't even know that's what it is.
Exactly. And that was kind of how I was spinning it too, because like even like my dad would always say, like, you know, me and your mom were just people. Like he would always say that to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just subconsciously he was planting the seed for when they were going to make that decision.
Mm.
So I was subconsciously and consciously being prepared for it. So, you know, I was ready for it.
You talked about you like knowing you're getting the bag from Factor into making this project.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it's Corona time. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you could still create some of the stuff in terms of the visuals and the videos.
Yep.
But like the shows are not the same. You know what I'm saying? I've seen you live a couple of times and I know how that goes down. And I can imagine just, you know, you not getting to have that experience. Was that part of, I guess, your thought process when you were thinking about how we're gonna promote this? Because a lot of times you're promoting things for the tour, for the shows. Like you're like, listen, the album's coming out today, but 2 weeks from now you'll catch me right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Not having that in the same way. Obviously, we have the online stuff that's not really the same, but
it's not the same at all. No.
Yeah. How did that change the way you kind of were putting things out, or at least how you thought about it? Because you can still promote your online shows and your Zoom stuff. How do you think about it though?
It's a good question. There's a couple ways to go about it, because my team and I were planning a tour that was supposed to like be done by now, technically, before the whole pandemic began. And at first I was a little let down because hitting the stage for me is like, it's home, you know, I love it. It's like the recording process is great. It's one of my favorite parts of music, but my favorite part is to perform live, that you can exchange energy. So navigating through this new terrain, I was like, okay, I don't know if I can curse. I'm going to try not to curse. I can be a waste man and, you know, just sit down and kick rocks and complain. Or I could spin this L into a W and just use it to work more on my craft. Like, not that I don't work hard, but if people think they can't work harder than they currently are, then they're never going to grow. There's always new levels, family. You feel me? Like, always. So I'm like, all right, so we can't do tours. I'm not going to be able to hit the stage for an open-ended amount of time. So I put my grind on overdrive. I was like, all the time I'd be on tour, I'll just be recording. For this album, I made around roughly 90 songs with the album in mind. We had a folder full of about 50 songs that my team and I really liked leading up to it. And bro, I just went into like mode. Like I just was like, all right, well, just gonna keep going hard. And I have,
for real.
Yeah, and I had a lot going on too. Like my girl got back from Thailand and she was sick. Like real sick, like Corona sick. I had to take care of her, which sucked. I was luckily asymptomatic, so nothing affected me. And recently, I have been tested and I don't have COVID anymore. Just throwing that out there for anyone who's listening. I'm fine. But there was that. And then I moved to Scarborough to go and live with my girl at the time because I'm an all-in type of person. So I'm like, yo, we're not living together. Let's live together. Let's go all the way. I got engaged to her. I was doing the whole thing.
Yeah. Congrats.
Oh, no, we broke up. Yeah, I'm building it.
Yeah, my bad.
No, it's fine. How are you supposed to know? So all of these kind of transitions are happening for me. And throughout this entire time I'm creating. So like I'm documenting this new step while also realizing internally, like, this is kind of the whole process I'm giving you. Like, I realize as a human being that I'm not necessarily meant to like be in a monogamous relationship right now. And if I'm having those thoughts, then I'm doing my spouse a disservice by staying with her. And in some of these songs in the album, there's like a bit of an undertone, like, yo, I got to go off on my own. I got to do my own thing right now. So the process of the album, there was so much going on and somehow it all just added fuel to the fire and it made the music better. So, I mean, like life has been such a roller coaster. And I feel like when people play the album top to bottom, they'll be like, damn, like that was a fucking ride. So,
bro,
that's my way.
That's literally what I was thinking when I was like listening to the album.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when people get to like hear this, I think by the time this video is out, the album will be out. So people get to hear the album and understand what's going on. But I had a question for you. Is like, what is the activity you put this album? Because people talk about some albums are albums to drive to, some albums are albums to ball up to. But like this album, you have so much, like it's literally like a life album. So do you have like an activity that you suggest people to like listen to this album to? Because I don't even know what it is. Like, I can't put my finger on it.
I actually like typically like with my past albums, like, you know, like The Boy Who Died, like Smoke Up, with Matrix, I'm like, yo, do some mushrooms. But with Because We're Alive, I feel like I think the first listen should be intently, like sitting down with a spliff, whatever you drink, and just like laid back and play it top to bottom. But the thing about laying back is once the bangers come on, you can't lay back. Like you can't, like it's almost a bit of a contradictory thing. But I'm not even sure what box I could put it in for people to listen to. I think it's too expensive. Like you could play it at a family dinner. Like I think the kids and the family will be dancing. You could play it in the whip on a long drive to Montreal. You could play it on a trip. I feel like it's for, I don't know if it's for one thing. You know, I'm ratting my brain trying to answer that. I don't know which one thing it's for, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to get back to you on that.
No, I'm honestly straight with the answer because I was racking my brain the same way, being like, what is this for? And you talked about like playing it at a family dinner in the background, whatever. Like, there's so much. There's obviously bangers on this, and there's literally songs that you make that like screw face to.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a lot of gems on this too, where it's like
man.
you need that first listen with intent, because I feel like
100%.
that will affect how people decide what their favorite song is. You know, I think that you can obviously like certain beats and certain sounds and, you know, certain different flows that you get into, but I think that how people will really decide what their favorite song is through the lyrics and really catching.
For sure.
So I think that first listen with intent, I agree with that. I think that's crucial for this.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. And just to bounce off what you were saying too, like my team and I we change our favorite song on this album like every 6 days. Like, first it's like Dibby Dibby, the man's like, I can't stop playing this. And then like Psilocybin the next week, and then it's Trip the week after. And I made that with intention, like, because I've obviously made a lot of music leading up to this point, and I'm kind of at a point in my craft and my career where I know exactly what I want to do now. Like I've made enough things where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to keep fragments of that, like, and just turn it all into kind of a super Saiyan craft, you know? And I think there's a favorite song on here for everybody. Like everybody. Someone's gonna find something they like. I will debate anyone about that.
Nah, I agree with that, because my favorite song right now
which is it?
Is probably Dibby Dibby. That's probably my favorite song off top. But Lemon's Interlude is like, you know what I'm saying? If I hear that at the right time, that could easily be number one.
Yeah, there have been tears of me playing that song. That shit, that hits. So I'm happy to hear that. Dibby Dibby's a constant favorite of mine too, just because of the roots and thing. Like that's in my soul, you know. So that's one of my tops right now too.
Yeah. Like 100%. There's a line on Dibby Dibby where you said, "I became the person everyone been trying to be."
Yeah.
I thought that bar was heavy, because I that reminds me of that Drake's line where he says, "Boys tell stories about the man." And that vibe is literally what I thought of. Talk about, I guess, how you're feeling, because obviously you were feeling like you were on top when you made that one.
100%. I mean, like, I kind of got to a point in my life where I don't really compare myself to other human beings anymore, because like there are similarities in all humans, and there are things to look up to, but you shouldn't like base your worth on who and what somebody else is. So I'm just like, there's nobody more me than me. So let me just dive into all of my layers. And that kind of self-actualization bleeds into my music. I'm like, I'm so comfy in my skin. I don't feel like anyone can touch me. Like, you know, like in the end of 8 Mile, when Eminem's like, now say something they don't know about me. And that's like my whole life right now. Like, get at me. Like there's nothing, no layer I haven't peeled back myself that anyone can try and peel back for me. So I feel like I became the person everybody's chasing because they're not comfortable in their own skin yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the bag I was in.
No, listen, I rock with that so heavy, because it's like,
thank you.
I think again, when people hear the album, that will be super, super clear. And I think that like that line of I became who everyone's trying to be is literally that, because some people aren't even like trying to be themselves all the way. They're trying to be somebody else, and once they fail at that, then they're trying to be themselves. Then there's people who aren't even trying to be themselves in the first place, and they're trying to be half themselves, or they feel like themselves.
Exactly, or they're trying to like be the perception that they think people want them to be. Like, like if someone views them a certain way, then they try and fit that mold, and that shit gets unnatural after a while. If you're not living comfortably in your flesh, it's gonna like start giving you physical ailments. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real. So yeah, man, people gotta get comfy in their skin, and I feel like I did that a while ago. So I'm in my bag with that one.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like I feel like you should get that respect as one of the leaders of the new Toronto, because
Thank you.
I feel like that is not something that in Toronto we always give the credit to. We have a lot of people in Toronto who are popping for they're talented, they can rap, they can sing, whatever it is. But I feel like the people who are really comfortable in their skin are really pushing that forward.
Yeah,
we should push them to the top. That's what I feel. So I feel like this album is gonna really like, I feel like you've had parts of that before, but this album to me, out of all your projects, I feel like it's gonna be so clear. Like whether someone's a fan or not, or a hip hop fan or not, it's so obvious.
That's like the only compliment an artist like me could ever want to hear. Like, just thank you, because that was the intention. So like the fact that that intention is resonating inside of your soul, yo, I'm good. Like, that's all I need today. You just gave me all I needed to hear today. Like, done no.
done no. Like when I heard the singles, I was like, okay, like I was rocking with the vibe, but I'm saying as well as anyone how the single game goes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean anything. So I was excited to actually, hear the project and kind of see that it really was still on that same wave.
Oh, for sure.
On Jungle, you have a line. It's like, there's a next man when my ex left, got my shit together. Now she want to text me.
Yeah.
And I that line stuck out to me, obviously, because it's like that really be happening sometimes.
Yeah.
And calling the song Jungle when it's talking about a lot of that stuff, I thought was so interesting, because it's like, it's almost like your mind is a jungle, so to speak. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Talk about that.
Thank you. Yeah, like there's two sides to that jungle thing. Like the first one being like, your mind is kind of a jungle, and like when I rap, I really feel like I'm swinging through the vines of my mind on some like Tarzan shit. And also too, like, we're living in a concrete jungle. Like, it's just as wild out here. There are predators, there are beasts, there are prey, and with specifically with that bar, like, that's happened to me, I think, with almost every girl I've ever left. I swear to God, I'm not even like, I know like braggadocious stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I was a certain version of me when I was with them. And typically me in relationships, like, I'm a very focused person, so sometimes it comes off wrong. And then when I leave the predicament and time passes, I'm still enhancing myself. And I feel like I always get that call, like, yo, I see you're doing well, like, let's link up. And it's like, of course you want to call me now. Like, when I was like struggling in the lab and couldn't eat and shit, it was like, yo, peace. But once you get your stuff together, it's like, yo, how you doing? And that's like a quality a lot of humans have that I try to make sure that I don't portray. Like, if I want to rekindle a relationship with someone, it's based on the fact that I miss them, not that I see them glowing up. You know? It should be genuine. It shouldn't just be because, like, oh, mans are eating now. How you doing? Like,
and
hate that.
No, and the like, why that hit me too is because I feel like that's a part of people in general. Yeah, that is like, I find it very fake, because
I wasn't gonna say it, but it is. Like, it is.
It's super fake, because it's like, I could be glowing up and doing great after you, but it's like, if you was real, you could have saw that in me before. You could have. You shouldn't be that surprised. There just shouldn't be like, I'm you now. Like, I'm saying, you should have been like this. You have this in you, but right now you're just not right. That's not right. You right now, but
hold up,
that's you coming up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like
exactly, dude.
It's very fake. Very fake. And do you feel it too? You said life switched up when I started doing numbers.
Yes.
There's a line that Patrick has in the song where he's like, I ain't been the same since they've been proud of me. And I thought of that line when I heard your line.
Yeah.
And I relate to it a bit, because it's like, the switch up doesn't have to happen. And so I want you to tell me about the first couple times when you were like, oh, this is different. Y'all, I'm not moving this in.
I think like a couple of summers ago, I think actually recently after I dropped Acid Rain like 3 years ago, and I was leading up to No Man's Land. Like I was actually for the first time in my career, like doing like actual like pretty good numbers, like on the streaming services, like in lots of countries and specifically in Toronto. And the energy towards me from whether it be corporate interest or people just in the clout scene or, you know, just people in general, the energy was just a lot more praise than judgment or just treating me regular. And like, quite frankly, I like recognition for my hard work because I put in a lot of work, but I don't like when people start kissing your ass because that's like, I don't know. It's like, it just feels uncomfortable. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? Like I surround myself purposefully with people who challenge me, people who uplift me and people who inspire me. I don't have no yes men around me because that's like not, and with that bar, like light switch up when I started doing numbers, like the yes men started coming around. It's like, yo, you're perfect. It's like, no, I'm not. I have a lot. It's like, I have a lot of room to grow. So that was like, that's what I meant specifically by that. And since then, as the numbers and the fan base grows, like I get to find real people out here. Like recently, like I met a dude named Alan Raymond, who I'm sure you obviously know is a very amazing musician. But he's a person that just our crafts brought us together. And he's like, when I talk to him, it's like talking to me, myself in the mirror, you know? He's a beautiful creative and he's someone who'll push you. I just like, there are a lot of people, artists alike, who just turn into yes men once you start doing pretty good. And I think that's a sign of like a character flaw, honestly. Not to like hate, but just being honest, you know?
Listen, I'm gonna say it again. That's fake.
Yeah.
That's fake.
No,
because here's the thing that I feel about those yes men. I have a special place in my heart of distaste. So that's why I really felt that line, because
thank you.
It's like, if for you to become a yes man in any way, how fake you are runs so deep.
It goes like bone deep, man.
like I remember like when I started this show and I started doing interviews, you know, this girl I knew from high school who I wasn't even cool with, hit me up to ask if she could co-host with me. And I said, I started this whole show on my own and you're just going to pull up and co-host? You think that's how it works?
Yeah, like you're just, and based on what relationship? Like we didn't even have one. Like it's not even like your cousin or your family who does his own radio show. It's like, yo, let's combine forces. See, that stuff is fake.
Fake. And I was like, you know, the fact that you didn't even like stop the text before it happened, or, you know, like you went all the way through to even ask me and didn't think that was not cool. It's like this fake runs deep.
So you can relate, man. And like it goes deep, you know? And that's like something that I have been noticing. Like I try to not knock anybody because everyone's on their own journey. And like a lot of people are very impressionable and they want to be like things they see on their phone, and they praise people. We're living in celebrity culture where people like are taught to worship human beings. It's like, nah, fam, you worship yourself. You know, like you got it all going on. Like you don't gotta worry about anything exterior. And I think that's something society kind of drills into people's head, which is a breeding ground for these fake yes men, you know? So that's something I've been noticing as my career starts to take off a little bit and expand. Just like there's a lot more people with like, they look like they don't have soul. Like it's just like it just, you know, like they're like robots. It's like I don't get it. But like I don't know, man. It's just one of those things, you know?
That's why I appreciate your project a lot, because I really feel like, you know, your music doesn't speak to those people. There is a lot of kind of empty music that is kind of for those fake soulless people. Yeah. And I feel like your music is definitely like not for them. Like
no, not at all.
There's a lot of lines in your music that I'm like, if you're one of those people, it will offend you.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that on levels, because like I don't make music for people who, I mean, I make music for the world, but my music isn't for people who aren't on the journey to like expanding themselves and empowering people and being the best version of themselves so that they can in turn give people permission to do the same thing, you know? Like that's all I'm trying to do artistically as a person and in everything in between that. So if people ain't rocking with that, then like middle finger, but a heart too, you know, like it's all love, but fuck you.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real. This song, Tension, I feel like is one of the ones that, you know, will do something for somebody because.
Thank you. I feel like that too.
But I feel it because of what you're saying, of course. But you have a couple different voices on there. Like, you know, if someone didn't know you, they can think the song is a couple people, you know, and this and it's just you. And I feel like that is what I feel like will inspire someone because
yeah,
there are a lot of artists out there who it's like they feel like they got to go get a feature or they don't want to try and alter their voice or try and get them a little melodic. And on Tension, you do all of that. That's something you've always had kind of in your bag. But talk about, I guess, how having that kind of helps you create, because you don't really have to go outside for a lot of things. Like, you think of it, you like, I like this, I'm gonna do it. So talk about how that kind of empowers you to create even better.
Thanks, man. When I started out like recording a while ago, like I was always really big on just like making sure my cadence was expansive, because when it comes to music, I think like the voice is the most versatile instrument there is. Like it's
facts.
And I learned like a lot of my favorite singers are like non-singers, like Kid Cudi, Yopolis London, like people in that bag. People who can play with their voice, do so many things with it, but they aren't like the traditional version of a singer. And for me, I always like, coming from my culture, like my dad's from Kingston, Jamaica, like my favorite music is man's changing, like Stephen Marlin going like really low and then really high like this. Like just like full range. Like I'd hear some of my favorite artists, like Bounty Killer, like, yo, dude, these people, like I would like 7 people were on the song in my mind as a kid. Like, and as I grow, I realize it's all them playing with their voice. So I always had that in my mind. And like with each project, I always try and do something a little more with my voice. Just like even in the hook on Do You Feel It Too? Like I wanted to just like try something with my voice, you know? And Intention specifically, like that just kind of, I didn't even take that in, how many different voices are on there, because they're all just a part of me now, you know? And from the objective listener, I think that might actually reel people in, because it's like, how are there so many people? Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, yeah, there we go. I just saw that you updated this to unlimited minutes, because
I got the same thing. I was like,
what's going on here? But yeah, as a kid, I always had that kind of perspective, and I just working on my voice every time I do something to kind of just expand it, you know? Like, I don't think I can traditionally sing, but I don't think anybody sounds like me either. So that's kind of like, that's where I look at it from.
That was like a major key. You mentioned those guys, like, I think like especially in Jamaica, like so many sing, even the ones who are like the singers of that genre, like the Bears Hammond and you know, those guys. It's like they have no problem going wherever their voice takes them. It's, you know, wherever, and it's like I think about like all these songs that there's no way someone who's not from that kind of way of thinking could make that song, because you're right. There is a traditional singer like the Ariana Grande type, you know, who's just like, I got the range, I can do, you know, I could play my vocals, but when you think like that, your music is going to sound a different way than when you think like a Bounty Killer.
Exactly. It's going to naturally sound a different, and it's great. There's a place for all of that too, like the Mariah Careys, Beyonce's, like even Rihanna, like they can sing. But there's also, just because you can't traditionally sing doesn't mean you can't serenade people with your voice. You feel me? Like, most of my favorite singers, like even the Damian Marley's, he's one of my favorite artists in the world. Like he goes everywhere with his voice, you know, his flow, his cadence. Like the Jamaican and the island influence on my music is very heavy. Even it's not sonically, but it's how I approach it. It's like it was all that was playing in the house when I grew up. Like drove my mom crazy. That might be why they split, but he was just, it's like all my dad played. And that, well, if you have a yearn to do music, then you're going to be a sponge to that, you know? And that's what happened to me.
For sure. We ask everyone this question on the show.
Yeah.
You see people get a lot of money. They buy these exotic animals. You know, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Mike Tyson with his tiger. Yeah. Is there an exotic animal that you've ever thought of you could have as a pet?
Yo, I'm going to keep it like 100, like legitimately no. Like never once in my life. Recently, I was hanging with my girl, Ruby Waters, and she said she had a snake when she was growing up. I'm afraid of snakes and lizards and crocodiles and anything that is a reptilian. I'm afraid of it. So because I'm afraid of it, I think I might buy a snake. Just like, you know, to break down that barrier, like, but like, you know what, you know, feed the snake, hang out with the snake. It scares me, so I kind of want one. But I don't know if I guess that'd be my answer, a snake.
Yeah, snake is tough. My homegirl Alia, shout out to Alia, she had a snake and she used to keep it like in her closet in a little like, you know, tank or whatever. And she would bring it out at parties. And I was like, I rock with the snake so heavy, but I'm like you. I'm scared at the same time because she would have to go to the store and get like mice to feed the snake. And watching the snake eat the mice, I was like, I don't want no problems, man. I don't want no part of that. So I totally get you that like having a snake or something like that. Yeah, hard. Yeah, the connection is.
It's a scary thing, man. But like, I like the idea of how.
Yeah, the idea is cool, but putting into practice is a whole different thing. Is a whole different. Here we go.
Yeah. Sorry, you just blacked out there for a second, but I'm back. There's like
all good.
I have to unplug and plug back in my modem. It's been fucking with me like all morning, but I'll do that after this. We're just gonna have to deal with the choppy connection for now.
Okay, no, we're almost done, so we're straight. This next
First world problem.
They say the top 5 people in your life help you be yourself and represent who you are. Now your top 5 could be a 2 or it could be a 10, but who are the people in your life who help you be yourself?
First and foremost, my parents, and my siblings, but that's a given because they're my blood. And outside of that, my brother Terrell Morris, that's my boy, that's my dog. He was one of my mentors when I started rapping like 9 years ago. My brother Khalid Provo, he goes by Set, shouts to him. He grounds me. My manager Brendan, he's been riding with me for like 6 years now, man. He's believed in the vision. He's one of those guys who never switched up. And he'll always challenge me. Me and him have like, he's a businessman and I'm a creative, so we clash, but it always creates a beautiful monster. My homegirl Allie, that's my family. My boy Rec, I don't even want to leave anybody out because my circle's tight. It's about like 6 or 7 people. My boy Rec, who goes by Castle, he's a sensational artist. Now these are my guys, like who I went to when I broke up with my girl, who I go to when I'm feeling lost, or who I go to when I want to celebrate. And my brother Robbie, that's like, I say those 6 right there are like, those are the ones, you know what I'm saying? And everybody else is always fam too, but those are like my go-to people. Top 6.
Man, I love when I ask this question and people have like a good 5 and even more than 5. Because
I can keep going.
Because it's like having those good people who are like 1,000% real. God,
it's
crucial.
It restores my faith in humanity when I see my family. Like just being around my real people, like just to be able to bust jokes, talk, politic, and just like real people who will challenge you. You know, like I don't want to ever get to a point where I'm surrounded by people who praise me all the time and like who, you know, back to that yes man thing. Like I'm anti that, and everyone in my life is anti that too. So those people are like my circle, and it's smaller than a Cheerio, dog. Like it's very small.
No, that's big time. Because I hear a lot of times, like I ask this question to people who are not even on the show, just in general, you know, just to check temperature.
Yeah, it's a good question.
And sometimes people have like 1 or 2 people, and it's like it's even iffy with those 1 or 2 people. And then sometimes it's like someone may tell me like I'm the realest, their realest friend or the realest person they know, and me and them are not that close. And I'm like, I'm happy that you even know me, but it's a little sad.
It's a little sad, yeah. Like, and it's okay. Like you gotta, you know, you take that compliment, appreciate it, but like I don't put you in mine. Like I know everyone who I just mentioned, I'd be in theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like no question of a doubt. So like when someone kind of views you as a better friend than you actually are to them, it kind of goes to show how empty their circumference is, which is something they should probably actively work on.
And that's the thing. I feel like this is before our last question, but our society is not really based on working on that. I think people focus a lot on like meeting strangers and dating and all that nonsense.
Yep.
Way more than they focus on having a tight, proper circle. So
Facts.
I think that, hopefully this interview could be the start of that.
Yeah, like it could be the start, like the drop in the pond that slowly becomes a real wave at some point. Because like I think that should be the focus of our society, is finding out who you are and finding people who see you for who you are, and just going with those people, period.
For sure. I feel like you're going to have a good answer for this one. We do a segment on the show called Wednesday Wisdom. Shout out to our boy Brandon Gibbs. He has a new motivational quote every single week. So what do you kind of keep in your mind that keeps you going when you're having like a rough time, a rough day, or a rough week?
On a pretty consistent basis, man, like I just try and remind myself how temporary this whole existence is. Like whether you think of it subjectively or objectively. I don't even know if objectivity is a real thing, because it's always subjective, but this time that we have here is just so fickle and it's fragile, and every second we're getting closer to our bodies shutting down slowly, and the natural process of life. And just knowing that like I am not going to be here forever, it always picks me back up on my feet, because the time that I have right now is all that I'm ever going to have. So like when I'm down, or when I'm sick, or when I'm just like not in a good mood, or I'm going to bed with the world's problems, I try and focus on like what's inside of the realm of my control, which is like how I treat my family, how hard I work on music, and I just go in that realm, like I know that I'm going to die one day, so I want to put it in before I do. And the only way from my perspective to say like my chi to stay there is if I focus on what's inside of my realm, because everything that's outside of that, like what's going on in other countries, what's going on with the government, even how we're getting taxed, that's not in my control. So I don't focus on that, because what's the point? Trying to focus on my output and my input, So I guess those would be my two like main mantras. If I had more time to think, I might give you a more poetic answer, but that's all I got for now.
No, that was fire. That was like, I feel like what you just had right there is helpful to a lot of people, because, I said this at my live show, and I was like, in case y'all didn't know, y'all all gonna die. Yeah.
Like, me and my sister have that joke. We're like, hey, we're gonna die one day. Let's go do something. Like it's like how we start things. And for me, it's like flipping the perspective, because death is inevitable. And yeah, it's scary. And sometimes like you think about all this beautiful experience you're accumulating and you don't want to let that go. But that's just life. That's how it goes. So appreciate the now to as fully as possible, and try not to let like inevitabilities get in the way of how much awesome shit you can be doing right now in the moment. Like, yo, we all gonna die one day. Get out there and do something,
Exactly.
Big facts, bro.
I want to thank you for coming to the show. Can I see how much of the ice cream you got done? Let's see how far you got.
I got like pretty down there, man.
I
rocked it, man. I have a stomach ache for you, okay? I got like, I want to let you know you're my guy, because like my stomach hurts right now. So
I appreciate that.
I got 2/3 of the way through, so like someone better put some respect on my name. It's in the morning. Like I haven't even eaten full breakfast yet, so put some respect on my name, people.
No, I think you might be the earliest we've had someone like do the ice cream challenge. So that for you to get 2/3 this early in the morning is pretty good.
It's gonna fuck up the next 3 hours of my day, but the interview was fire. So the interview was fire. So anything for art and anything to like make anybody feel something, I'm good with that. So I'll take the stomach ache.
I'll take it. First time listening to the show, make sure you are subscribed. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to Google Play, Amazon Music, and leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. Make sure you're also subscribed on YouTube, The Cool Table Live. You'll find the full video right over there. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Yo, bless up, my guy. Yo, I appreciate you so much.